I never believed in curses. I still don't, technically. What happened to me wasn't supernatural. It was worse. It was human. My name is Danny. I'm 24, a grad student at the University of Southern Maine, studying library science. Not exactly thrilling, but it pays decently as a TA, and I like books more than people anyway. I moved to Portland in August, into a studio apartment on the third floor of an old brick building on Congress Street. The place was cheap, $850 a month, which in Portland is basically a miracle. The landlord, Mr. Henriksen, was this elderly Norwegian guy who barely spoke and just handed me the keys after I signed the lease. No background check, no references, cash only. I should have thought that was weird, but I was desperate. The apartment was small. One room, a bathroom with a shower that dripped constantly, a kitchenette with a hot plate, and a mini fridge. The windows faced the street, and at night I could hear the bar crowds stumbling home. The hardwood floors creaked. The radiator clanked. It smelled like old wood and dust, and something faintly sour I could never identify. But it was mine. I didn't have much furniture. A mattress on the floor, a folding table I used as a desk, a couple of plastic bins for clothes. I spent most of my time at the library anyway, working or studying. I kept to myself. I didn't know my neighbors. I liked it that way. The first Saturday after I moved in, I went to an estate sale in Cape Elizabeth. Old house, Victorian, paint peeling off the shutters. The woman who died had no family apparently, so they were selling everything. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I just liked walking through dead people's houses, imagining their lives. Morbid maybe, but I found it calming. Most of it was junk. Dusty books, stained linens, chipped dishware. But in the corner of the living room, on a small wooden chair, I saw the doll. It was porcelain, maybe 2 feet tall, with glassy blue eyes and a crack running down the left side of its face. It wore a faded yellow dress, lace trim along the collar. Its hair was real, blonde, brittle, pulled into 2 braids. The hands were delicate, fingers curled slightly, like it was reaching for something. The price tag said $3. I'm not into dolls. I never was, even as a kid. But something about it caught me. Maybe it was the crack. Maybe I thought I could resell it online. Vintage creepy dolls go for decent money on eBay. So I bought it. The woman running the sale, a tired-looking blonde in her 50s, wrapped it in newspaper without saying a word. I carried it back to my apartment on the bus, the doll sitting on my lap in a paper bag. A couple of people stared. I ignored them. When I got home, I set it on the folding table, leaning it against the wall. It stared at me while I made ramen on the hot plate. The eyes seemed to follow. I laughed at myself for being creeped out and turned it around to face the wall. That night, I couldn't sleep. The radiator was loud and the bars were rowdy. But it wasn't that. I kept thinking about the doll, about the house it came from, about the woman who owned it, who died alone, with no one to claim her things. I got up around 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. When I came back, I glanced at the table. The doll was facing me again. I froze. I stared at it. The yellow dress, the cracked face, the blue eyes catching the streetlight from the window. I must have knocked it when I got up. The table wasn't stable. I walked over, turned it back around, pressed it firmly against the wall, went back to bed. But I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. Nice ramen last night. I sat up, stared at the screen, read it again. It had to be a wrong number, or spam. I deleted it and got ready for class, but it bothered me all day. I kept checking my phone between lectures, half expecting another message. Nothing came. When I got home that evening, I made spaghetti on the hot plate. I ate standing up, scrolling through my phone. I didn't think about the text again until I was brushing my teeth before bed. My phone buzzed. Unknown, spaghetti tonight. You should eat more vegetables. My hand froze. Toothpaste foam dripped into the sink. I walked back into the main room, looked around. The windows faced the street. Third floor, no fire escape, no balcony. Across the street was a laundromat and a Thai restaurant. No residential windows at that angle. I checked the door, locked, chain on. I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I tried calling the number. It rang twice, then disconnected. I called again. Same thing. I didn't sleep well that night either. The texts continued. Not every day, not even every week, but enough. Always from different numbers, always with details. Unknown, blue shirt today, good color on you. Unknown, you left your bedroom light on again. Waste of electricity. Unknown, coffee at 7:15 a.m. You're very punctual. I stopped responding. I blocked the numbers, but new ones appeared. I changed my daily routine, took different routes to campus, ate at different times, wore different clothes. It didn't matter. Unknown, new route today. Deering Ave instead of Congress. Trying to confuse me, I reported it to the campus police. They took a statement, told me to keep records of the messages, said there wasn't much they could do unless there was a direct threat. They suggested I change my number. I did. 3 days later, unknown, new number won't help, Danny. That was the first time they used my name. I started noticing other things. Small things. Things I thought I was imagining. The doll moved, not dramatically, not across the room. But I'd leave it on the table facing the wall, and when I came home, it would be angled slightly toward the door. Or I'd set it on the floor in the corner, and later it would be sitting upright on the windowsill. I told myself it was me. I was stressed. I wasn't sleeping. I was moving it and forgetting. But I started testing it. One morning before class, I placed the doll in the center of the table, face down, and put a piece of tape across its back, sticking it to the wood. I took a photo on my phone. Timestamp, everything. When I came home 6 hours later, the tape was peeled off. The doll was sitting upright, facing the door. I checked the locks, the windows, nothing. I called the landlord. Mr. Henriksen answered on the 5th ring, his voice thick with an accent. "Do you have a key to my apartment?" I asked. "Of course, I am landlord." "Have you been inside?" A pause. "Why I go inside?" "I don't know. Have you?" "No, you pay rent, I don't bother." "Does anyone else have a key?" Another pause. "Previous tenant, maybe, but she gone now." My stomach turned. "Who was she?" "I don't remember name. She leave 3 months ago. Very quiet girl." "Do you have her contact information?" "No." "Can you change my locks?" He sighed. "Cost money. I'll pay." "Okay, I come next week." He came 2 weeks later. By then, things had gotten worse. The letters started in mid-October. The first one appeared under my door on a Tuesday morning. A standard white envelope, no stamp, no return address. Just my name, Danny, written in block letters with a black marker. Inside was a single sheet of printer paper. "You look peaceful when you sleep." No signature, no other text. I took it to the campus police. They filed it with the texts, told me to keep documenting, asked if I had any idea who might be doing this. I didn't. The second letter came 3 days later. "You touched your face 14 times while reading yesterday. It's a nervous habit." The third came on Sunday. "The doll suits you. You should keep it somewhere visible." I stopped bringing the doll out. I put it in the bathroom closet, behind towels, facing the wall. I piled shampoo bottles in front of it. 2 days later, I came home to find it sitting on my pillow. I started losing weight. I couldn't eat. My hands shook when I tried to type. I stopped going to the library. I studied at coffee shops, different ones every day, always near the windows where I could see the street. My advisor noticed. Professor Kelly, mid-50s, kind eyes, cardigans. Danny, are you all right? You've missed 2 meetings. I'm fine, just busy. You don't look fine. I didn't tell her. I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? But the messages kept coming. Unknown, you're losing weight. I don't like it. Unknown, why won't you answer me? Unknown, I just want to talk. Unknown, you're being rude, Danny. In November, I came home to find my apartment door unlocked. Not just unlocked, open, an inch, maybe 2, the hallway light spilling into the dark room. I stood in the corridor, heart hammering. I pulled out my phone, ready to call 911. I pushed the door open slowly. The lights were off. Everything looked normal. The table, the mattress, the bins. Then I saw it. The doll was sitting in the center of the floor, legs straight out, arms at its sides. Around it, in a perfect circle, were photos. Printed photos, 8x10s, dozens of them. I stepped inside, turned on the light. The photos were of me sleeping, me in the shower, the curtain just translucent enough, me sitting at the table, eating, me standing at the window, looking out, me walking down Congress Street, me at the coffee shop on Munjoy Hill, me on campus, outside Glickman Library. In every photo, somewhere in the frame, was the doll, on my table, on the bathroom counter, on the windowsill, in my bag, in the background of the street shots, held by someone I couldn't see. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the floor. I called 911. The cops came, 2 officers, young, 1 male, 1 female. They took statements, photographed the scene, bagged the photos and the letters. They asked the same questions the campus police had asked. Did I have a stalker? An ex? Anyone who'd want to scare me? No, no, no. They checked the windows, the locks. No signs of forced entry. They asked about the landlord, the previous tenant. I told them everything I knew, which was almost nothing. They said they'd file a report. They said I should stay somewhere else for a few days. They said I should consider a restraining order, but I'd need to know who to restrain. I didn't have anywhere to go. After they left, I packed a duffel bag. Clothes, laptop, toothbrush. I left the doll on the floor. I locked the door and went to a motel on Riverside Street, the cheapest one I could find. $40 a night, stained carpet, the smell of cigarettes baked into the walls. I stayed there for 4 days. On the 5th day, I got a text. Unknown, the motel on Riverside isn't safe, Danny. Come home. I checked out of the motel that afternoon. Not because I felt safe going back, I didn't, but because whoever was doing this knew where I was. A locked door didn't matter. Distance didn't matter. They were always watching. I went back to the apartment. The door was locked, just as I'd left it. Inside, everything was exactly the same. The doll still sat in the center of the floor, surrounded by empty space where the photos had been. I picked it up. The porcelain was cold. The crack down its face seemed deeper somehow, wider. I carried it to the kitchen, opened the cabinet under the sink, and shoved it behind the pipes. I closed the cabinet door and pushed a chair against it. It didn't help. The next morning, I found the doll sitting on the toilet tank. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at it. Then, I took it outside. I walked 6 blocks to the nearest dumpster behind a Dunkin' Donuts and threw it in, deep beneath bags of trash. I walked away without looking back. When I returned to my apartment 2 hours later, the doll was sitting on my doorstep. This time, there was a note tucked into its dress. Don't do that again. I started researching the previous tenant. Mr. Henriksen didn't remember her name, but the building had only 6 units. I knocked on every door. Most people didn't answer. The ones who didn't know anything. They were new too, or they kept to themselves. Finally, on the second floor, a woman in her 60s answered, "Mrs. Alvarez." She had a small dog that yapped at my ankles. "You're in 3B?" she asked. "Yeah." She frowned. "That girl who lived there before you, she left in a hurry. Middle of the night. I heard her on the stairs, dragging something heavy. I looked out, but she was already gone." "Do you know her name?" "Sarah something. Maybe Sarah with an H. Quiet girl. Kept to herself. I saw her a few times in the laundry room." "Did she say why she was leaving?" Mrs. Alvarez shook her head. "But she looked scared. I remember that. She looked terrified." I tried searching online. Sarah and Sarah with Congress Street, Portland, Maine. Nothing useful. I checked social media, old apartment listings, public records. I found a few possibilities, but none matched. Then I thought about the landlord. Mr. Henriksen had to have paperwork, lease agreements, applications. I called him. "I need the previous tenant's contact information," I said. "I told you I don't have." "You have to for the lease." Silence. "Mr. Henriksen, she pay cash, no lease. That's illegal." "You pay cash too." He hung up. I went to the local library and searched newspaper archives, missing persons reports, police blotters, anything from the last year involving Congress Street or young women. Nothing, but I did find an estate sale listing from August. Cape Elizabeth, Victorian house, no family. The sale had been run by Clearwater Estate Services. I wrote down the name. I called Clearwater the next day. A woman answered, her voice brisk and professional. "I bought something at one of your sales in August," I said. "A doll. I'm trying to find out more about it, where it came from, the history." "We don't typically give out that information. It's important, please." A pause. "Which sale?" "Cape Elizabeth, Victorian house. The woman who died. She had no family." Another pause. "That was the Morrow estate. Clara Morrow. Do you know anything about her?" "Not much. She was elderly, lived alone. The house had been in her family for generations. No children, no relatives we could locate. The state handled the sale." "Did anyone else ask about the doll, or anything from that sale?" "Not that I'm aware of. Why?" "Just curious, thank you." I hung up before she could ask more questions. That night, I dreamed about the house in Cape Elizabeth. The peeling paint, the dark windows, the doll sitting in the corner. In the dream, I walked through the rooms, and every surface was covered in photos of me. The walls, the floors, the ceiling, thousands of them. And in the kitchen, standing with her back to me, was a woman. Blonde hair in a braid, yellow dress. She turned around. Her face was cracked porcelain. I woke up gasping. The texts became more frequent. "Unknown, you're asking questions. Stop. Unknown, you won't find her. Unknown, she's gone, Danny. Just like you'll be if you don't stop." I took screenshots of everything. I saved the letters, the photos the police hadn't taken. I kept a journal, documenting every incident, every time the doll moved, every message. I also started carrying a knife. A small folding blade I bought at a hardware store. I kept it in my pocket at all times. In late November, I came home to find my laptop open. I always closed it. Always. I was paranoid about battery life, about someone accessing it. The screen was on. A document was open in Word. It was a list. Danny's schedule. Monday, 8 a.m. Glickman Library, 12 p.m. Campus Coffee Shop, 4 p.m. Home. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Class, Luther, Bonnie Hall. 1 p.m. Library, 6 p.m. Home. It went on. Every day of the week. Accurate down to the times, the locations. At the bottom of the document, "You're so predictable." I slammed the laptop shut. I checked every corner of the apartment. I looked for cameras, microphones, anything. I found nothing, but I knew they'd been inside again. I stopped sleeping in the apartment. I spent nights in my car, parked in different lots around the city. The waterfront, the mall, the hospital. I'd recline the seat, lock the doors, keep the knife in my hand. I barely slept. Every sound made me jolt awake. During the day, I attended class, worked at the library, tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. But I was falling apart. My grades dropped. I missed assignments. Professor Kelly called me into her office. "Danny, I'm worried about you. You're not yourself." "I know, I'm sorry. Is there something going on? Something you want to talk about?" I almost told her, but what would I say? That someone was stalking me? That a doll kept moving on its own? That I was sleeping in my car because I didn't feel safe in my own home? "I'm handling it," I said. She didn't look convinced. December came. The temperatures dropped. Sleeping in the car became unbearable. I started going back to the apartment late at night, after midnight, and leaving before dawn. One night, I came home at 2 a.m. The building was silent. I climbed the stairs slowly, listening for footsteps, voices, anything. When I reached the third floor, I stopped. My door was open, not just unlocked, wide open. The lights were on inside. I pulled out my phone, ready to call 911. I stepped forward carefully. The apartment was empty, but the doll was gone. I searched everywhere. The closet, under the sink, in the cabinets, behind the radiator. Nothing. Then I saw the note on the table. "I don't need it anymore. I have the real thing." My blood went cold. I didn't stay that night. I grabbed my duffel bag and left. I drove to campus and parked in the library lot, the one with security cameras and late-night foot traffic. I sat in the car with the doors locked, watching the rearview mirror, the side mirrors, the dark spaces between the streetlights. At 4 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Unknown, running won't help." Then another message. "Unknown, I know where your mother lives." I stared at the screen. My heart stopped. My mother lived in Massachusetts, a small town outside Worcester. I hadn't told anyone in Portland where she lived. I barely talked to her. We weren't close. I called her immediately. It rang 6 times before she answered, her voice groggy. "Danny, it's 4 in the morning." "Mom, are you okay?" "What? Yes, I'm fine. What's going on?" "Lock your doors. Check your windows. Make sure everything is locked." "Danny, you're scaring me." "Just do it, please." I heard her moving, the sound of footsteps, a door closing. "Everything's locked. What is this about? Someone's been bothering me. I think they might try to contact you." "Bothering you how?" I didn't answer. "Danny, just be careful. If anyone contacts you, anyone you don't know, don't respond. Call me immediately." "You need to call the police." I did. "They can't do anything." "Then come home." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because they'd follow me. Because I'd bring this to her doorstep. Because I didn't know how to stop it." "I have to go," I said. "Danny." I hung up. The next message came an hour later. "Unknown. Good boy. Keep her safe. Keep yourself safe. Stop asking questions." I didn't go to class for a week. I called in sick to my TA position. I stayed in the car, parked in different locations, never the same spot twice. I ate gas station food and used public restrooms. I didn't shower. I barely slept. The text stopped. For 3 days, nothing. No messages, no calls, no letters. Silence. It was worse than the harassment. The silence meant they were planning something. On the 4th day, I got an email. My university email, the one only students and faculty had access to. Subject: "You've been watching." No text in the body, just an attachment. DannyFiles.zip. My hands shook as I clicked it. The file downloaded. I extracted it. Inside were folders, dozens of them, each labeled with a date. going back 6 months. Long before I'd moved to Portland, I opened the first one. Photos, me leaving my old apartment in Boston. Me at my previous job, shelving books at a bookstore. Me having coffee with a classmate. Me walking my neighbor's dog. Me at the grocery store. Hundreds of photos. I opened another folder. Videos, short clips, 10 to 15 seconds each. Me unlocking my car. Me talking on the phone. Me sitting on a bench, reading. The camera was always at a distance, zoomed in, shaky. I opened the most recent folder. Last week. A video, 30 seconds long. It was my mother's house. The camera panned slowly across the front yard, the driveway, the porch. Then it zoomed in on the living room window. My mother was inside, sitting on the couch, watching TV. The video ended. I threw the phone across the car. It hit the passenger window and clattered to the floor. I drove to the police station. I brought my laptop, the phone, everything. I asked for the detective who'd taken my report. Detective Ramos, early 40s, tired eyes. I showed him the email, the folders, the videos. He watched in silence. When the video of my mother's house played, his jaw tightened. "We'll trace the email," he said, "and we'll contact the police in Massachusetts, have them check on your mother." "What about the photos, the videos? That's evidence." "It is, but we still don't know who's sending them." "Can't you trace the IP address?" "We'll try, but if they're using a VPN or public Wi-Fi, it'll be difficult." "So what do I do?" He looked at me. "Stay somewhere safe. Don't go back to your apartment. Do you have friends? Family nearby?" "No." "Then a hotel. Use cash, don't use your real name, and keep documenting everything." "That's it?" "For now, yes. We're doing what we can, Danny." I left the station feeling hollower than when I'd arrived. I checked into a motel in South Portland using a fake name, John Miller. I paid cash for 3 nights. The room smelled like mildew and old smoke, but it had a deadbolt and a chain lock. I didn't unpack. I sat on the bed with the lights off, staring at the door. My phone buzzed. "Unknown, John Miller, really?" I turned the phone off, pulled the battery out, threw it in the trash. That night, I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, deliberate. They stopped outside my door. I held my breath. The knife was in my hand. The doorknob turned, slowly, testing the lock. I didn't move. The footsteps continued down the hall. A door opened and closed. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I went to a pawn shop and bought a cheap prepaid phone. No contract, no identification needed. I called Detective Ramos from a payphone outside a gas station. "It's Danny. They found me at the motel." "How?" "I don't know. I paid cash, used a fake name." "Are you safe?" "For now." We traced the email. It came from a public library computer in Portland. We pulled surveillance footage, but it was crowded. Lots of people. We couldn't identify anyone. "What about my mother?" "Local police checked on her. She's fine. No signs of anyone watching the house." "They have footage of her house from last week." "I know, we're working on it." "That's not good enough." Silence. "I'm doing my best, Danny." I hung up. I drove to the public library on Congress Street. The main branch, the one with computers on the second floor. I went upstairs. Rows of desks. People typing, scrolling, watching videos with headphones. I walked slowly down each aisle, looking at faces. No one looked familiar. I asked the librarian at the desk if I could see the computer logs. Who'd been using which computer, when? She shook her head. "That's private information. You'd need a warrant. I'm being stalked. Someone used these computers to contact me." "I'm sorry. You'll have to go through the police." I left before I said something I'd regret. I started thinking about the previous tenant, Sarah, the girl who'd left in the middle of the night, terrified. If this had happened to her too, Maybe she'd left a trace, a forwarding address, a phone number, something. I went back to the building on Congress Street. I waited until evening, when Mr. Henriksen usually made his rounds to collect rent. I caught him in the lobby. "I need to get into the basement," I said. "Why?" "I think I left something down there." "You don't have access." "Please, it's important." He stared at me, then he sighed and pulled out a key ring. 5 minutes. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floor, exposed pipes, storage cages for each unit. He unlocked the cage for 3B and turned on a single overhead bulb. Inside were boxes, old furniture, a broken lamp, trash bags. "This is from the previous tenant?" I asked. "Yes. She leave it. I was going to throw away, but I forget." "Can I look through it?" He shrugged. "I don't care." He left me there. I opened the first box. Clothes, books, random junk. The second box had papers, bills, receipts, a lease agreement. The lease was signed by Sarah Purcell. No forwarding address. But there was a phone number at the top. I took a photo of it. I called the number from the prepaid phone. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. A woman's voice, young, cautious. "This is Sarah. Leave a message." I waited for the beep. "Sarah, my name is Danny. I'm living in your old apartment on Congress Street. I think the same thing that happened to you is happening to me. Please call me back. Please." I left the prepaid number and hung up. She didn't call back that day or the next. On the 3rd day, I got a text on the prepaid. "Unknown, who is this?" I replied, "Danny. I left you a voicemail. I'm in your old apartment, 3B on Congress." A pause, then, "Unknown. How did you get this number?" "From your lease, in the basement storage." Another pause. "Unknown. You need to leave that apartment." "I can't. I signed a lease, and they're following me everywhere." "Unknown. Who?" "I don't know. That's why I'm calling you." "Did this happen to you too?" A long pause, then, "Unknown. Meet me tomorrow. 2 p.m. East End Beach. Come alone." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the car in a Walmart parking lot, replaying the conversation in my head. Sarah knew something. She'd left because of this. Maybe she knew who was doing it. Maybe she had answers. Or maybe it was a trap. I thought about not going, but I was out of options. The next day, I drove to East End Beach. It was cold, windy, the kind of December day that cuts through your jacket. The beach was empty, except for a few dog walkers in the distance. I sat on a bench near the parking lot, facing the water. I kept the prepaid phone in my hand, the knife in my pocket. At 2:05, someone sat down next to me, a woman, mid-20s, blonde hair pulled into a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. She wore a gray hoodie and jeans. She didn't look at me. "You're Danny," she said. "You're Sarah." She nodded. We sat in silence for a moment, watching the waves. "How did you find me?" she asked. "Your lease, your phone number." I should have thrown that out. "I'm glad you didn't." She turned to look at me. Her eyes were hollow. "You need to leave that apartment. Tonight." "I can't. I don't have anywhere to go, and they follow me wherever I am." "Then leave Portland, leave Maine. They have photos of my mother's house in Massachusetts. They'll follow me there too." Sarah's face went pale. "They showed you your family?" "Yeah." She closed her eyes. "That's when it gets bad." "What do you mean?" "That's when they escalate. That's when they stop playing games." My stomach turned. "Sarah, who is this? Do you know?" She shook her head. "I never found out. I tried. I went to the police. I searched online. I asked everyone in the building. No one knew anything. But it happened to you. The texts, the doll, the photos." "Yes." "The doll? Where did you get it?" "An estate sale. Same as you, probably. Cape Elizabeth." "Clara Morrow?" She nodded. I looked into her. Dead end. Literally. She was just some old woman. No connection to me. No reason for any of this. Then why the doll? I don't know. Maybe it's just a marker. A way to tie us together. A calling card. Tie us together how? Sarah looked at me. You're not the first, Danny. And I wasn't either. My blood went cold. What do you mean? Before me, there was someone else. Another tenant in that apartment. I found out after I moved in. A guy named Marcus. He lived there for 2 months, then disappeared. No forwarding address, no contact information. The landlord didn't know where he went. Disappeared how? Just gone. One day he was there, the next he wasn't. His stuff was still in the apartment. The landlord eventually cleared it out. Did he go to the police? I don't know. I tried to find him. I searched online, called hospitals, checked missing persons reports. Nothing. I felt like I was going to be sick. So someone is targeting people in that apartment. Yes. Why? I don't know. How did you get away? Sarah looked out at the water. I ran. I left everything. I moved to New Hampshire, changed my number, cut off everyone I knew in Portland. I stayed off social media. I worked under the table, paid cash for everything, and eventually, the messages stopped. When? 6 months ago, right after I left, right around the time I moved in. They moved on to me, I said. She nodded. Sarah, I need your help. I need to find out who this is. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't go back there. I can't be involved in this. Please. She stood up. Leave the apartment, Danny. Leave Portland. Don't look back. It's the only way. What about the next person? What happens when someone else moves in? Sarah looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes. Guilt, shame, fear. I'm sorry, she said. Then she walked away. I watched her disappear down the beach path. I sat there for a long time, staring at the ocean. Marcus, Sarah, now me. 3 people. Same apartment, same stalker. Someone was choosing us, watching us, hunting us. But why? When I got back to the car, there was an envelope tucked under the windshield wiper. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a photo, me and Sarah, on the bench. Taken from a distance, zoomed in. On the back, written in block letters, "Bad choice, Danny." I drove straight to Detective Ramos. I didn't call ahead. I just showed up at the station and asked for him. He wasn't there. The desk officer said he was out on a call, wouldn't be back until evening. I left the photo with a note explaining where it came from. Then I sat in my car outside the station, trying to decide what to do next. My phone, the prepaid, buzzed. Unknown, you were warned. Then another message. Unknown, Sarah shouldn't have talked. My heart stopped. I called Sarah's number. It rang once, then went straight to voicemail. I tried again, same thing. I texted, "Sarah, are you okay? Please respond." Nothing. I waited 5 minutes, 10, 20. Then a new message came through. Not from Sarah's number, from the unknown number. Unknown, she's fine, for now. But you need to come home, Danny. What do you want? Unknown, to talk, face to face. Who are you? Unknown, come home and find out. I'm not going back to that apartment. Unknown, then Sarah pays the price. Your choice. I stared at the screen. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped the phone. They had her, or they knew where she was. Either way, she was in danger because of me. How do I know you won't hurt her anyway? Unknown, you don't. But if you don't come, I definitely will. When? Unknown, tonight. 9 p.m., apartment 3B. Come alone. If I see police, she dies. I had 4 hours. I drove to a hardware store and bought zip ties, duct tape, a flashlight, a crowbar. I didn't know what I was planning. I just knew I couldn't walk in there empty-handed. I thought about calling Detective Ramos, but the message had been clear. Police meant Sarah dies. Maybe it was a bluff, maybe not. I couldn't risk it. I thought about running, getting in the car and driving until I ran out of gas. But Sarah's face kept flashing in my mind, the hollow eyes, the guilt. She'd tried to warn me, and now she was in danger because I'd contacted her. I had to go. At 8:45 p.m., I parked 2 blocks from the building on Congress Street. I walked slowly, scanning every shadow, every parked car, every window. The street was busy, people heading to bars, restaurants. No one paid attention to me. The building was dark, no lights in the hallway, no sounds from the other apartments. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, each step creaking under my weight. The door to 3B was closed but unlocked. I pushed it open slowly. The apartment was dark. The only light came from the streetlights outside, casting long shadows across the floor. "Hello," I said. No answer. I stepped inside, reached for the light switch. The lights didn't turn on. I pulled out the flashlight and flicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the empty room. The table was gone. The mattress was gone. Everything was gone, except the doll. It sat in the center of the floor, exactly where it had been the night of the photos. Legs straight out, arms at its sides. The crack down its face seemed to glow in the flashlight beam. I walked toward it slowly, the knife in my other hand. A floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around. A figure stood in the doorway. Backlit by the hallway light, I couldn't see the face. Average height, average build. Wearing a dark hoodie, hands in pockets. "Hello, Danny," a voice said. Male, mid-30s maybe, calm, almost friendly. "Where's Sarah?" I said. "She's fine. She's at home in New Hampshire, probably wondering why you're blowing up her phone." "You said..." I lied. "I needed you to come." I tightened my grip on the knife. "Who are you?" The figure stepped into the room. The door closed behind him. He reached up and pulled back the hood. I recognized him, not his face. I'd never seen his face before, but I recognized the building. He lived here, 2nd floor. I'd seen him in the hallway a few times, going in and out of his apartment. We'd never spoken. He was younger than his voice suggested. Late 20s, dark hair, clean-shaven, ordinary, forgettable. "My name is Aaron," he said. "Why are you doing this?" He smiled. "Because I can." Aaron walked past me, casual, like we were old friends. He picked up the doll and sat down on the floor, cross-legged, cradling it in his lap. "You want to know how it works?" he said. "The system?" I didn't answer. I kept the knife pointed at him. "It starts with the apartment," he said. 3B. It's directly above mine. The layout is identical. Same walls, same floors, same fixtures. Which makes it easy to install cameras, microphones, wireless, battery-powered, hidden in the vents, the outlets, the light fixtures. I did it years ago, after the previous tenant moved out. The landlord doesn't care. He doesn't even inspect the units. As long as the rent comes in, he's happy. My stomach turned. "Then I wait," Aaron continued. "I wait for someone to move in, someone alone, someone vulnerable, someone who won't be missed right away if they disappear." "Marcus," I said. Aaron's smile widened. "You've been doing your homework." "Yes, Marcus. He was the first. A nice guy, really. Quiet, kept to himself. He lasted 3 months before he ran. I let him go. I wasn't ready yet." "Ready for what?" "To finish it. Sarah. Sarah was better. She lasted 5 months. She was tougher than Marcus. But eventually, she broke too. She ran, just like he did. And just like him, I let her go." "Why?" Aaron looked at me. His eyes were empty. "Because the hunt is more fun than the kill." I felt the knife trembling in my hand. "And me? You're different," he said. "You didn't run. You fought back. You asked questions. You found Sarah. You went to the police. You tried to solve it. That's rare. That's interesting. So this is a game to you. Everything's a game, Danny. Life is just a series of moves and counter-moves. You either play or you get played. You're insane, Aaron laughed. Maybe, but I'm also right. Look at you. You came here, alone, knowing it could be a trap. Why? Because I told you Sarah was in danger. Because I manipulated you. Because I'm better at this than you are. Where are the cameras? Everywhere. The vents above the stove, the smoke detector, the outlet by the door. Even in the doll. He held it up. This little girl has a camera in her left eye. I've been watching you through her since the day you brought her home. I felt like I was going to vomit. But the cameras aren't the best part, Aaron said. The best part is the access. I have a key to this apartment. I've had it since before you moved in. I come and go as I please. I move your things. I leave notes. I watch you sleep. And you never knew. The landlord doesn't care. I told you. He's lazy. He takes cash, doesn't ask questions. He probably doesn't even remember giving me a key. Why the doll? Aaron looked down at it, almost affectionate. Psychological anchor. People are scared of dolls, especially old ones. It creates unease. And when I move it, when I put it in places you didn't leave it, it makes you question your reality. Are you going crazy? Are you imagining things? It's the perfect tool. You're sick. I'm efficient. What do you want from me? Aaron set the doll down gently. Then he stood up. I want to see how far you'll go, he said. Marcus ran after I sent him photos of his sister. Sarah ran after I sent her footage of her parents. But you're still here. Even after I threatened your mother, you're still here. Why? Because I'm not going to let you do this to anyone else. Aaron smiled. Good answer. He reached into his hoodie pocket. I raised the knife. Don't move. Relax, he said. He pulled out a phone. My phone. The original one. The one I'd thrown away. I've been tracking you with this since September, he said. GPS, texts, calls, photos, everything. Even when you turned it off, I could still see where you were. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? He tossed the phone onto the floor. It landed near the doll. But now you know, he said. Now you know who I am, where I live, how I've been doing this. So what are you going to do, Danny? Are you going to run, like the others? Or are you going to try and stop me? I didn't answer. Aaron took a step toward me. I tightened my grip on the knife. Stay back. He took another step. You're not going to use that. I will. No, you won't. You're not a killer, Danny. You're a librarian. You're soft. You're prey. He lunged. I don't remember the details clearly. It happened too fast. Aaron grabbed my wrist, the one holding the knife. I tried to pull away. We struggled. He was stronger than he looked. He twisted my arm, and the knife clattered to the floor. Then he shoved me backward. I stumbled, hit the wall, slid down to the floor. Aaron picked up the knife. He looked at it, almost disappointed. I thought you'd put up more of a fight, he said. Then he walked toward the door. I scrambled to my feet. Where are you going? Home. 2B, right below you. If you want to call the police, go ahead. But by the time they get here, I'll be gone. And all the cameras, the recordings, the evidence, it'll be wiped. You'll have nothing. They'll believe me, Aaron laughed. Will they? A crazy grad student who's been sleeping in his car, who's paranoid, who's been harassing his neighbors, or a quiet, law-abiding tenant who's lived here for years without incident. He opened the door. See you around, Danny, he said, and he walked out. I stood there shaking. My mind was racing. He was right. If I called the police now, he'd disappear. He'd destroy the evidence, and without proof, it was my word against his. But if I didn't call them, he'd keep doing this. To me, to the next tenant, to whoever was unlucky enough to move into 3B. I looked down at the doll. The cracked face stared up at me. I picked it up, turned it over, found the seam along the back of the head. I pried it open. Inside, embedded in the porcelain, was a tiny camera. Wires connected to a small battery pack. I pulled it out. The camera was still recording, a tiny red light blinking in the lens. I stared into it. "I'm going to stop you," I said. Then I crushed it under my heel. I didn't call the police, not yet. I had a better idea. I left the apartment and went downstairs to the second floor. I found 2B. I pressed my ear to the door. Silence. I tried the doorknob. Locked. I went back upstairs to 3B. I grabbed the crowbar from my bag and returned to Aaron's door. If he could break into my space, I could break into his. I wedged the crowbar into the door frame just above the lock. I pushed. The wood splintered. I pushed harder. The door gave way with a crack. I stepped inside. Aaron's apartment was immaculate. Everything was organized, clean, minimal. A couch, a coffee table, a small kitchenette. No personal photos, no decorations. It looked like a showroom. But then I saw the second room. The door was open. Light spilled out into the hallway. I walked toward it slowly. Inside was a desk with 3 monitors. All of them were on, security camera feeds. My apartment, multiple angles. The main room, the bathroom, the kitchen area, even the inside of the closet. I watched myself on the screen. The feed from 30 minutes ago. Me walking into the apartment. Me confronting Aaron. Me crushing the camera. But there were other feeds too. Older recordings, archived. I clicked through the files. Months of footage. Me sleeping. Me eating. Me changing clothes. Me talking on the phone. Me crying in the bathroom after another text message. I felt sick. Then I saw the other folders. Marcus. Sarah. I clicked on Marcus's folder. Hundreds of video files. Dates going back 3 years. I opened one at random. A young man, early 20s, sitting at a table, eating dinner. The camera angle was from above. The vent, probably. Marcus looked nervous. He kept glancing around. Another video. Marcus asleep. The camera zoomed in on his face. Another. Marcus packing a bag, hands shaking. The last video was time-stamped 2 days before the folder ended. Marcus was at the door, looking back at the apartment. His face was gaunt, terrified. Then he walked out, and the video ended. I opened Sarah's folder. Same thing, hundreds of videos. Her daily life, recorded and archived. I watched her deteriorate over months, losing weight, losing sleep, losing her grip. The last video was her running down the stairs in the middle of the night, carrying a single bag. Aaron had kept everything, every moment, every invasion. Then I saw another folder. Next, inside was a photo. A young woman, maybe 22, dark hair, glasses, smiling. Below the photo was a document, a rental application for apartment 3B. She was moving in next month. Aaron already had his next victim. I heard footsteps in the hallway. I spun around. Aaron stood in the doorway. He wasn't smiling anymore. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. "You were going to do it again," I said. To her. "Yes. Why?" "I told you because I can." He stepped into the room. I backed toward the desk. "You're going to delete everything," I said, "right now, all of it." Aaron laughed. "No, I'm not." "Then I'm calling the police. They'll see all of this. The cameras, the files, everything." "Go ahead. By the time they get here, I'll be gone. I've planned for this. I have backups, cloud storage, encrypted drives. You can't stop it." "Then I'll stop you." I grabbed one of the monitors and threw it at him. He dodged. The monitor shattered against the wall. I ran. I bolted out of the apartment and up the stairs to the 3rd floor. Aaron was right behind me. I got to 3B, slammed the door, locked it. I shoved the table against the door. Aaron pounded on the other side. "Danny, open the door." I pulled out the prepaid phone, dialed 911. 911? What's your emergency? I'm being attacked. Congress Street, 3rd floor, apartment 3B. The man attacking me lives in 2B. His name is Aaron. He's been stalking me. He has cameras in my apartment. He has evidence on his computer. Please hurry. Officers are on the way. Stay on the line. The pounding stopped. I pressed my ear to the door. Silence. Then I heard footsteps going down the stairs. He was running. I opened the door and looked out. The hallway was empty. I ran downstairs to the 2nd floor. Aaron's door was open. The apartment was empty. I went to the room with the monitors. The computer was still on, but the files were being deleted. A progress bar on the screen. Erasing data, 47% complete. I grabbed the mouse, tried to cancel it. It was password protected. I looked around frantically. There had to be something. A backup drive, a notebook, something. Then I saw it. A small cardboard box on the floor, half hidden under the desk. Inside were phones, dozens of them. Old flip phones, smartphones, burner phones, all labeled with names and dates. Marcus, 2022. Sarah, 2023. Danny, 2024. I dumped the box into my bag. Then I heard sirens. The police arrived 3 minutes later. 2 officers, guns drawn. I met them in the hallway, hands up. I'm Danny, I called. The man who attacked me, his name is Aaron. He lives in 2B. He just ran. They searched the apartment, found the computer, the monitors, the remaining files that hadn't been deleted yet. Detective Ramos arrived 20 minutes later. He looked at the setup, the cameras, the archive folders. His face went pale. Jesus Christ, he muttered. I showed him the phones, explained everything. The doll, the texts, the photos, Marcus, Sarah, the next victim. Where is he now? Ramos asked. I don't know, he ran when I called you. Ramos radioed for backup. All units, be on the lookout for a white male. Late 20s, dark hair, last seen on Congress Street. Suspect is wanted for stalking, harassment, breaking and entering. Approach with caution. They searched the building. Aaron was gone. They searched his apartment more thoroughly, found more cameras, more equipment, more hard drives hidden in the walls. They found a notebook in his bedroom. Pages and pages of handwritten notes, schedules, habits, psychological observations, all about Marcus, Sarah, and me. The last entry was dated yesterday. Danny is the best one yet. Strong-willed, persistent. He won't break easily. This will be fun. They found a map of Portland with addresses circled. My mother's house was one of them. So was Sarah's parents' house, Marcus's last known address, and the address of the next tenant, the girl from the rental application. Detective Ramos looked at me. You probably just saved her life. What about Aaron? We'll find him. We've issued a warrant. We have his photo, his information, his vehicle registration. He won't get far. But I could see the doubt in his eyes. They took my statement. It took hours. I told them everything, start to finish. When I was done, Ramos asked, "Where are you going to stay tonight?" I don't know. You can't go back to that apartment. I know. He gave me the number for a victim services coordinator. Said they could help me find temporary housing, counseling, legal support. I thanked him and left. I sat in my car outside the station as the sun came up. I hadn't slept in over 30 hours. My phone, the prepaid, buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown, you won't find me, Danny. My blood ran cold. Another message. Unknown, but I'll find you. I stared at the screen. Then another message. Unknown, this isn't over. I called Detective Ramos immediately. He told me to come back to the station, that they'd trace the number, but I already knew it wouldn't lead anywhere. Aaron was smart. He'd planned for this. He was still out there, watching, waiting. They never found Aaron. The manhunt lasted 2 weeks. Police searched every corner of Portland, sent alerts to neighboring states, tracked his bank accounts and credit cards. Nothing. He'd vanished completely. His car was found abandoned in a long-term parking lot at the Portland airport. Security footage showed him entering the terminal wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, but he never boarded a flight. He walked in and disappeared into the crowd. Detective Ramos said it was likely he'd planned an escape route months in advance. False identities, cash reserves, burner phones. He could be anywhere by now. I moved out of the apartment the day after Aaron ran. I couldn't stay there, not with the cameras removed, but the memory of them burned into my mind. Every corner, every shadow felt contaminated. The university gave me a leave of absence. Professor Kelly helped me find a sublet in a different part of town. A garden-level apartment in the West End with bars on the windows and 3 deadbolts on the door. It wasn't much, but the landlord actually ran a background check. That mattered now. Sarah called me 2 days after the police raided Aaron's apartment. She'd heard about it on the news. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was shaking. "I should have helped you. I should have stayed." "You did help me. You told me about Marcus. That's what made me dig deeper." "Did they find him?" "No." Silence on the line. "Danny, you need to be careful. He's still out there." "I know. He'll come back. Maybe not now, but eventually. People like him don't stop." "I know." Another pause. "I'm moving again," she said. "Somewhere far. I'm not telling anyone where." "That's probably smart. You should too." "Maybe. But I didn't. I stayed in Portland. I went back to classes after the winter break. I finished my degree. I kept living. But I never stopped looking over my shoulder. The girl from the rental application, the next victim, never moved into 3B. The police contacted her, explained the situation. She found a different apartment across town. Marcus was harder to track down. The police eventually found him in California, working under a different name. He refused to talk about what happened. He just said he was glad it was over and hung up. Mr. Henriksen claimed he had no idea what Aaron had been doing. He said Aaron had been a model tenant. Quiet, paid on time, never caused problems. When asked about the key to 3B, he said he didn't remember giving Aaron one, but acknowledged his record-keeping was poor. The building was investigated. They found more cameras in the walls between the apartments, microphone relays in the ventilation system, even a small hole drilled through the ceiling of 2B into the floor of 3B. Aaron had been watching from directly below. The city condemned the building. Mr. Henriksen sold it at a loss. Last I heard, it's being renovated into condos. The doll, the one from the estate sale, was kept as evidence. I never saw it again after that night. Sometimes I wonder if it's still sitting in a police storage room somewhere, cracked face, staring at nothing. I researched Clara Morrow, the woman who'd owned the doll. Tried to find a connection between her and Aaron. There wasn't one. She'd been a recluse, lived alone for 60 years, died in her sleep. The doll had belonged to her mother, apparently passed down through generations. It was just a doll. Aaron had picked it because it was creepy, because it served his purpose. There was no curse, no haunted history, just a tool in the hands of a predator. That's what scared me most. Not the supernatural, not some ancient evil, just a man who decided to destroy people because he could. I still get texts sometimes, not often, once every few months, always from different numbers. Unknown, how's the new apartment? Unknown, saw you at the coffee shop on Cumberland. You look tired. Unknown, miss me yet? Detective Ramos tells me to keep reporting them. They trace the numbers, but they're always burners, always bought with cash, always used once and discarded. He thinks Aaron is still in the area, watching from a distance, playing his game. I think he's right. Last month, I got a package. No return address, postmarked from Boston. Inside was a Polaroid photo. It was me, taken from across the street, walking into my apartment building. The photo was recent. I recognized the jacket I was wearing, the bag on my shoulder. On the back, written in block letters, "The hunt continues." I brought it to Detective Ramos. He filed it with the rest of the evidence. He said they're still looking, still following leads, but I can see it in his eyes. He doesn't think they'll catch Aaron. Not unless Aaron wants to be caught. I don't sleep well anymore. I check the locks 3 times before bed. I cover my laptop camera with tape. I sweep my apartment for hidden devices once a week. I'm careful about my routine. I vary my schedule, take different routes, never go to the same place twice in a row. But I know it doesn't matter. Aaron is patient. He's smart. He's been doing this for years, and he's good at it. One day, he'll get bored of watching from a distance. One day, he'll want to play again. And when that day comes, I'll be ready. I keep the knife with me now. The same one from that night. I sharpened the blade. I practice opening it quickly, holding it correctly, using it if I have to. I'm not prey anymore. Sometimes I think about the next person, the one Aaron will choose when he gets tired of me. Another student probably, another loner, someone vulnerable, someone isolated, someone who won't be missed right away, someone who'll find a doll at an estate sale and think it's just a harmless antique. I've thought about posting warnings online, anonymous messages on local forums, campus message boards. Don't rent on Congress Street. Watch out for estate sales in Cape Elizabeth. Check your apartment for hidden cameras. But what would I say? How would I explain without sounding paranoid, without revealing too much about myself? Aaron would see it. He'd know I was still thinking about him. He'd enjoy that. So I stay quiet. And I wait. It's been 8 months since that night in apartment 3B. 8 months of looking over my shoulder. 8 months of jumping at sudden noises. 8 months of seeing his face in crowds that aren't there. The police say the case is still active. They say they haven't given up. But I know the truth. Aaron is gone. Not dead. Just gone. Erased. Reborn somewhere else with a new name, a new apartment, a new victim. Maybe he's in another city now, setting up cameras in another building, watching another tenant through the vents. Maybe he's taking his time, being more careful, learning from his mistakes. Or maybe he's still here, still watching me, waiting for the right moment to remind me that he's in control. Last night, I had a dream. I was back in the apartment on Congress Street. It was empty, just like that last night. The doll was sitting in the center of the floor. I walked toward it, picked it up, looked into its cracked face. The eyes blinked. I woke up gasping, covered in sweat. It took me 20 minutes to convince myself it was just a dream. But when I finally calmed down and checked my phone, there was a new text. Unknown. Sweet dreams, Danny. I don't know if I'll ever be free of this. I don't know if Aaron will ever stop. All I know is that somewhere out there, he's watching, planning, waiting. And when he's ready, he'll come back. The doll was never cursed, but I am. Cursed to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, checking locks, jumping at shadows. Cursed to know that someone is always watching. Cursed to be his favorite game. This morning, I saw a notice taped to a lamppost near campus. Estate sale, Saturday 10 a.m. 4 p.m. Cape Elizabeth, Victorian home. Everything must go. I stared at it for a long time. Then, I tore it down and threw it in the trash. But as I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was taking a photo of me. That somewhere, Aaron was smiling. That somewhere, a new doll was waiting for its next owner. The cursed doll. It was never about the doll at all. It was about the man who used it. And he's still out there, watching, always watching,